Gegen Satan
Ja,
und alle Dämonen.
ja, gegen uns. Ich muss es dir sagen.
Der Rosenkranz, eine gewaltige Macht gegen
Ja.
Satan und alle Dämonen.
Aber das glaubt nicht. Ja, das ist ja nur volles Weibezeug.
That was the voice of Anneliese Michel, a girl from Klingenberg, Germany. In 1968, when Anneliese was 16, she experienced an episode of losing consciousness and felt like something was pressing down on her chest. 11 months later, she had a second episode. That's when her mother took her to a family doctor and a neurologist who did a brain scan, but found nothing wrong. They figured it was some kind of seizure. She was prescribed anti-seizure and anti-convulsant medication when she had 2 more seizures in 1970 and 1972. In 1973, Anneliese started to hear knocking sound and whispers damning her to hell. One day her mother found Anneliese furiously staring at the statue of Virgin Mary with, quote, eyes turned black. September 1973, she described having visions of demon faces to her neurologist and said that the devil was inside of her. She also stated of smelling burned feces, a smell that later others would smell around her. After hearing this, the neurologist suggested her mother to seek out a priest, something that later he would deny saying. November 1973, Anneliese saw another neurologist and a psychiatrist who diagnosed her with possible epilepsy and changed her meds to Tegretol, a much stronger drug. On July 1975, Anneliese's condition took a turn for worse. She started eating spiders and houseflies, even licked her own urine off the floor. A priest convinced everyone that she was possessed because she destroyed rosary, crucifixes, and some holy pictures. An exorcism was approved by the bishop. She went under 67 exorcisms, of which 42 were recorded on audio tape.
Noch mehr.
Halt's Maul.
Noch mehr.
Wie soll er am Maul halten?
Noch mehr sagen. Noch mehr sagen.
Die Schwester müsse in ihre Ordenskleidung sehen.
She probably has destroyed her vocal cords by now. On May 1976, she started to bang her head against the wall and biting others, at a point where her family had to tie her up. She refused to eat, said she wasn't allowed to. By June 1976, her face was completely sunken in, and she had a very high fever. On June 30, 1976, another exorcism was performed on her. The only words she was able to speak were please and absolution. The next morning, she was found dead in her room. The priest was charged with negligent homicide. The Catholic Church wanted him to plead guilty to minimize the public attention so that the people will stop talking about it, but the priest pleaded not guilty. The prosecutor brought forth several doctors and neurologists to establish a medical cause for Emily's death, particularly epilepsy and schizophrenia. The priest argued that she was possessed by demons and the 67 exorcisms failed due to the medications as they paralyzed Emily's brain activity and kept the demon out of reach. The jury ultimately reaches a verdict of guilty but surprises the court by asking judge to give a sentence of time served, which was equal to the amount of time the priest had already spent in custody, and he was free to go.
Vater, ich hätte mir nie gedacht, dass das so grausam ist. Ich habe mir immer gedacht, ja, also, ja, ich will auch für die anderen leiden, damit die nicht in die Hölle kommen und so. Aber dass das dann so schlimm ist und so grausam und so furchtbar, nee. Das tut mir leid.